Thank you all for joining us this morning. A week late for our annual Mayors and Town Managers Breakfast. I want to say thank you to everyone for being here. I also want to mention that the Lieutenant Governor is on her way. She'll be here in about 10-15 minutes, so we'll be taking to my fellow mayors and managers, we'll be taking a quick photo then, and then we'll be introducing our Lieutenant Governor to say some remarks also. I just want to mention also that this Government Affairs series that the Merrimack Valley Chamber hosts each and every year brings business and government together, and we're seeing that's what's happening right today. I also want to mention that our Government Affairs Chairman, Cal Williams, unfortunately could not be here today. He's a little under the weather, but he wanted me to give his best to everyone here, and he looks forward to being at our congressional breakfast, which is following this one, and our state senate as well. So we'll be following up with dates for those events shortly. I just want to say again, thank you to all of our sponsors. I want to thank All Pro Electric, Bright Bridge Credit Union, G Mello Disposal, the Health Connector for Business, the Institution for Savings, LCW CPAs, National Grid, Pride Star Trinity EMS, Revise Inc., and Tech Inc. I just want to give them all a round of applause and say thank you. Without our sponsors, we couldn't do things like this today. Couple of quick announcements. As you know, the Merrimack Valley Chamber hosts over 150 events each and every year. In February, we'll have networking mixers, we'll have networking noon lunches. We have a big at X-Golf Methuen, we have our annual winter golf tournament. If you're a golfer, if you're not a golfer, you want to check out this one. It's taking place on February 10th, a couple Tuesdays from tomorrow, 1 week from tomorrow, actually. There is still time to register, but those are filling up, but it's going to be a great time at X-Golf Methuen. I also want to mention that we'll be having HR Summit. We'll be having a women in business luncheon, so a whole host of programs, again, to bring people together and make connections. I also want to mention that our annual Spring Business Expo is on a day like today, and last Monday we're thinking about the spring, but Spring Business Expo is taking place on Wednesday, April 1st at Michael's Function Hall in Haverhill. And I want to mention that we have already confirmed the brand new Economic Development Secretary for the state of Massachusetts as the keynote speaker of that lunch. So keep your eye out for that event as well. So again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. And with that being said, I'm going to turn over to our chairman, Michael Sullivan.
All right. Thank you all for attending the first year fundraiser. We wanted to close the doors to let you know where 1/3 of all the money you spent today is going to balance the municipal snow budgets. So thank you for all being here, and the mayors and managers know how every penny will help, especially this year. So I want to thank Michael and Joe and the leadership at the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. As Mike just mentioned, we put on over 150 events a year, which is amazing. And that's a reflection of all of you in the audience, because that's the reason why people join the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. They join for the networking, they join for the business, they join for events like this. And we want to thank you all. Thank the leadership here of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, but especially behind the scenes, there's 35 people that are on the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors that meet monthly, sometimes weekly, and a lot of you are here. If you could all stand up, being on the board, I'd like you to stand up, please, and get a nice round of applause for all these hard workers. And thank you all. We're looking forward to another great year. The Lieutenant Governor, as Michael said, is running a little late. You'll notice one little change in the venue. Mayor DePena has grown some hair, so that's Mayor DePena down there with a full head of hair. The mayor couldn't make it today, so his executive assistant, Octavian Spanner, will do the remarks for Lawrence. So Octavian, thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge some of the people that are in the audience, either elected or in a public safety venue. Matt Cornelis is here, the town manager of Reading. Matt, where are you? Thank you, Matt, for being here. Essex County Sheriff Kevin Coppinger is here. Sheriff, thank you. Shout out to HC Media, that's the Haverhill Community Media and Lawrence Community Access TV, and our ambassador, Tom Spitaleri. Tommy, thank you for being here, and the media outlets for filming this. Peter Milano from the state of Massachusetts. Peter, thank you for being here, as always. Methuen Police Chief, Scotty McNamara. Fire Chief David Toto, thank you, chiefs, much appreciated. I want a special shout out to some of the other elected officials, Alex Vespoli, does a great job in Andover, but not only as an elected official, but they also, this Andover group that we have at the table, I'm going to have them stand in a second. They run a division of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce that runs great events in Andover, and specifically Andover Day, which is coming up, and we're going to play a nice big role in. They'll have over 14,000 people come through the town of Andover, and that's the leadership of Paul Salafia and Alex Vespoli and Buzz Stepansky and Ann Orman and that whole table. So if you guys stand up a second and put a little round of applause. I know the manager here appreciates all the work you guys do, right, Andrew? Right. So with that being said, we're going to begin the speaking agenda with the mayors and managers. And when the lieutenant governor comes in, we'll interrupt and then we'll bring her up. But I think reflecting back, one of the true examples of good leadership is this group that you see up here in front of you that's going to be speaking in a minute. They've all either got reelected or re-upped contracts. This is the same group that's been here for the last 3 and 4 years. And it's a great reflection because the people of their city and town, a number of them have been reelected this year. So the unity is here. The lieutenant governor plays a key role in that as well. But we always used to say there's no fences or barriers between these cities and towns, and the more everybody works together, the better. So with that being said, we made the decision to go in alphabetical order, and that's how we're going to hear from our elected officials. So the first one, reelected to her second term, would be our wonderful mayor from Haverhill, Melinda Barrett. Mayor Barrett, thank you.
Thank you. We were wondering if it was going to be by town or by name. I guess I won. Good morning, everyone. And thank you to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce for organizing this annual event and giving the Lieutenant Governor and my municipal colleagues and myself a platform to share what we are working on. Before I start, I'd like to publicly thank my partners in government, including all the city employees, the Haverhill City Council, our state and federal delegation, and the Healy Driscoll administration. Collaboration is key to getting stuff done in government and beyond, and I am fortunate to work alongside so many dedicated public servants to take on any challenge affecting our city, from government shutdowns to massive snowstorms. I'm entering my 3rd year in office as mayor of the city of Haverhill, and almost every day I learn something new or I'm faced with a new challenge. I think of this work as being a team effort, and I rely heavily on my staff, especially my department heads, to share their expertise with me and make recommendations on how we should tackle challenges and provide the best services to the city. Take snow removal, for example. We struggled last week with clearing roads and sidewalks. And in Haverhill, we chose to close City Hall for a day, and we canceled public school for 2 days. You know, some people were mad that we went to school on the 3rd day because everything wasn't completely, perfect yet. But, we have to weigh kids that don't have food at home. We have to get them into class sometimes, and you do the best you can with the information at hand. And I really appreciate the DPW and the police in those calls, as well as obviously the superintendent. DPW prioritize cleaning safe streets for safe passage, especially main roads and hills, as well as the school bus stops and sidewalks leading to schools. And given the condition of our streets, we elected to suspend even-side overnight street parking for the month of February. So we will be requiring residents to park on the odd side of the street for the duration of the winter overnight parking ban. We make these tough calls knowing that not everyone is going to be happy, but at the end of the day, we're always going to do what we believe is best for the community based on the information we have at hand. And I want to publicly express my immense gratitude to the Haverhill DPW department, the plow contractors who worked through the storm and continue to work with very little rest to clear the snow. This work is exhausting and oftentimes thankless, but it is critical to public safety. And I also want to thank our public safety personnel for patrolling the streets and attending to community members in distress. Public safety is of utmost importance to me. Police, fire, inspectional services, and DPW play a key role in keeping the public safe. And I want to acknowledge that we've had some leadership changes at the police department and the fire department in Haverhill this year. We have a new police chief and a new deputy chief, as well as a new fire chief, and for the first time in the modern era, we have an assistant fire chief. It had been long sought, and now we were able to fulfill that. And I have confidence in the new leadership to meet the diverse needs of our community and maintain the high professional standards that their departments are known for. Our inspectional services department is made up of 15 men and women who work their butts off every day to ensure compliance with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations pertaining to building, wiring, plumbing, gas, and public safety and environmental issues. Their work is often unrecognized by the greater public. However, their work is also critical to keeping the public safe. I think we have one of the best inspectional services departments around. It's run by Richard McDonald, who was a town manager in Duxbury for many years. And they are thorough and they are responsive. So if you ever have a need or a question, please do not hesitate to reach out to them. And obviously, the budget is before us again. And as mayor, I am the fiduciary of our public dollars that the city receives and administers. Since I took office, I have strived to be more collaborative in the city's budget process. My team is led by myself, Chief Financial Officer, and City Auditor Angel Perkins, and includes members of the City Council and School Committee. We have given our department heads preliminary goals on spending and have begun the process for our next fiscal year. We anticipate we will have to make some very tough decisions, as all indications point to an especially challenging year ahead. Last year, we finalized and consolidated 13 contracts. This is unprecedented in Haverhill. Some of those contracts hadn't been consolidated in decades. Now these contracts are signed and we must deliver on the compensation and benefits agreed upon. We have a new Constantino school that will be opening its doors to students this summer or fall, and I think Joe sits on the school building committee, and we thank him for his work. And we have a new school, a new middle school that's going into the MSBA process, the J.G. Whittier. So we'll be busy for the next multiple years on that. And an exciting collaboration between Whittier Regional VOTEC High School and NECO has emerged from the ashes of a failed vote. And this could fill the needs of our students, young and old, in all of our communities by serving those students that want a career technical education, as well as the businesses that, need skilled workers. All of these things are great and benefit the community, but they also cost a lot of money. And I am committed to doing everything possible to keep the city expenditures as low as possible while keeping and meeting our financial obligations and providing services to our residents. Our residents deserve quality constituent services that are accessible to them no matter their age, primary language, or physical abilities. Our residents deserve a beautiful recreation area like Winnie Park, which we are actively improving using federal and state earmarks, or Riverside Park, where last year we finished a trail in an edible avenue for people of all ages to enjoy, and it's quite popular. Our residents also deserve to feel safe in their homes, going to school and traversing the city, just living their lives. As I've navigated these last couple years, I've tried to make our policies stronger, our processes stronger, and our departments more efficient, all in the name of leaving Haverhill better than I found it. And that starts and ends with strong fiscal management. And then there's one more thing I'd love to talk about before I leave is our Economic Development Department. Haverhill has restructured its Economic Development Department after the departure of a longtime employee, and we are removing a hat from that position. It was everything. It was planning, it was economic development, it was CDBG. It was a lot. So we've hired away from Andover, Jackie Byerly, to be our planning director, and we are actively looking for an economic development director. And we would love, if anybody here knows of anybody, to send them our way. We have land, we have workforce, we have everything you need. We just need somebody to sell us. So come talk to me. My family ran a small business in downtown Haverhill for over 100 years, so I can say with conviction that we have a great community to do business in. And as a lifelong resident, I can also say Haverhill is a great place to live, to go to school, to raise a family, and explore. We have so much to offer, and in this new year, I'm looking forward to continuing to champion for Haverhill and make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Barrett. We'll continue with the agenda, and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, thank you for being here. As we kicked off the program just a little while ago, we were kind of talking about, and you've been here, I think, 4 years in a row now, and one of the, I think, unique signs that there's some good leadership here is that everybody in this panel has been here for the last 3 or 4 years. So there's been no newcomers, meaning the people of the cities and towns have either reelected them or renewed contracts. And your contract, I'm sure, will be renewed next year. And we also talked about the relationship that has to happen between cities and towns for government to serve the people, and the leadership comes from the top. And as we know, challenges, unexpected, happen in these jobs every week and every day, and same with the lieutenant governor. And we saw her on TV this weekend with the tragedy of the fishing vessel in Gloucester that went down. And you were right there with the family and directing the public safety, Coast Guard, and thousands of people that were involved in trying to help. So these jobs are challenging. They're 24/7, and we appreciate you carving a little bit of time to be with us today. So if you're ready without a coffee, I'm going to give you a short introduction, and then we'll turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor. Kim Driscoll is the 73rd Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Mass. She was sworn in on January 5th, 2023, joining Governor Maura Healey. Since taking office, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll has spearheaded several administration priorities and initiatives, exemplified by her extensive and successful career in local government, serving as the mayor of Salem, Mass. Driscoll has served as a notable proponent for economic development of Massachusetts cities and towns, and serves as the liaison for the municipalities across the state. This commitment also includes leadership on tackling the state's housing crisis and improving the state's public education policy. Driscoll also chairs the Governor's Council to address sexual assault, domestic violence, and human trafficking, the Seaport Economic Council, and co-chairs the STEM Advisory Council. And we really appreciate her being here. So with that being said, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, team. The team that's here from our local cities and towns. Many of us were together just last week for MMA's annual meeting, and it's great to see many of you again. Congratulations, Cassandra, on your new role, heading up the entire Mass Municipal Association. as if it's not enough being mayor of Amesbury, you're taking that role on. But it is really important, certainly for our administration, to have a strong partnership with our cities and towns. As someone who's been in those shoes, I really believe the work that we're doing in the state foundationally happens at the local government level. So we want to have a strong partnership. And good morning to everyone who's part of this chamber. This has been an annual event for me, and I've really appreciated being able to come into this region again, hear from some of our local officials, understand the vibrancy that's here, and also make sure we're aware of the needs that are happening. And I think the chamber does an excellent job, not only of bringing people together, but being that pipeline of information. So I want to thank Joe and Michael. And Michael, I said, are you getting any sleep? He said, none at all, as a new dad. So it's just a terrific relationship that we formed, and I'm grateful to be here. I do want to acknowledge the mayors and town managers, because we were supposed to do this last Monday, and there's no way we could have done it last Monday with all of the snow and the weather. So we know how hard everyone's working, and to be aware of what your goals and priorities are is definitely key. I really feel like the Merrimack Valley is a region with tremendous strengths. We have educated and increasingly diverse workforce, historic city and town centers that can be the real economic anchors of their communities, but also of the region. It's one of the highest concentrations of manufacturing and industrial capacity in the Commonwealth. Some of you know that and work in those spaces. And you also have incredible natural resources and open spaces that contribute not just to the quality of life, but to the region's long-term competitiveness. At the same time, you're also grappling with, some challenges like many parts of the Commonwealth are. Housing that is too scarce and too expensive, and this is frankly Commonwealth-wide. The cost of housing continues to grow more than the ability of people to afford it. Workforce pipeline gaps as industries continue to evolve. We want to make sure our workforce pipeline and the talent that industries need is here and available to them. Aging infrastructure. It's great to be part of historic Massachusetts, except when you're talking about historic pipes and infrastructure settings. And of course, we're all getting older. We do have an aging population. 25% of the population in Massachusetts is age 60 and growing. And we're all living longer. That's a really good thing. But it also presents new challenges around housing and opportunities to make sure we can age in place with dignity and respect. And because of your proximity to New Hampshire, and this region in particular, perhaps more than other parts of the Commonwealth, you're competing every day with neighboring states on costs, on talent, and on opportunity. And sometimes those certainly can impact municipal budgets and local employers, and whether people can afford to live and work here in the Commonwealth. We know that right now, not only are residents struggling with high costs, but local leaders and local businesses are too. That's why as we gear up in year 4, the governor and I are focused on lowering cost and making life in Massachusetts more affordable. Those are not just buzzwords. We've been working on this for the last 3 years, but it definitely takes on a renewed focus given some of the uncertainties that are coming out of Washington and just the way people are feeling about rising costs. We know that we want folks to be able to grow right here in Merrimack Valley, and that means we need to take action to do so. And as I mentioned, that push on affordability isn't new. As I stand here today, we've got 18,000 new early childcare seats. We're providing breakfast and lunch for all students in public schools. We've made community college free. We have dramatically lowered the cost of our public higher ed institutions. That's very much near and dear to my heart as a public higher ed grad. We want, if students are able to go to college, have the acumen and ability to do that, we don't want money to be the reason they don't go to college. And we don't want graduates coming out with hundreds of dollars of debt. That does not help them get on the road to stability or economic mobility. We've got a whole lot more vocational seats. That has proven to be an avenue that some of our young adults are really pursuing, as well as early college programs as well. We announced we have 10,000 early college students right now. We want to have 100,000 early college students and 100,000 apprenticeship programs. That's the real gateway to mobility, economic mobility for so many families. We want to extend and strengthen those pipelines. We've reduced estate taxes. We've been an outlier in estate taxes. Folks work hard their whole life. They want to be able to pass something on to their family. We think we can even do more on that front. And we've invested those fair share dollars that we are fortunate enough to have on education and transportation in both practical and transformational ways. We are trying to make sure we're investing in housing in every front. We have a real shortage of housing. I was just looking at the housing production in the 70s, even the 80s. We were well above 30,000 units every year. In the 70s, we hit some 50 and 60,000 units per year numbers. We haven't hit 20,000 units per year in a long time. And that is what is driving up the high cost of housing and making it really hard for young adults to stay here, start their family here, and buy a house. Right now, the average age of the first-time homebuyer in Massachusetts, anybody know what it is? 40 years old. That is something we're trying to work on through this large housing bond bill, $5.2 billion, and a real push to capture hearts and minds around housing. How do we develop housing plans in all of our communities? How do we show up really looking at how we can build the type of housing we need? Remember, we've got an aging population, we have young adults who want in, and the biggest outmigration we see in this state, we talk a lot about who's moving in and who's moving out. Outmigration is largely 26 to 35-year-olds who want to do the things that you and I and many of us in this room did when we were 26 to 35 years old. Buy a home, put down roots, and start a family. So we're all in on trying to make sure that happens. And we've got real partners on this stage who are with us. We can talk a lot about policy, we can fund a lot of things, but housing gets built in communities, at zoning board meetings, at a planning board hearing, and we really need everyone's support to develop the housing we need, not just in this region, but across the Commonwealth. Last week, we filed our fiscal year 27 budget. That starts in July. As you know, the state has a July to June budget timeline. We are really excited about the fact that our budget is just over 1% over what we're spending this year at $62.8 billion. We've done a lot of belt tightening. And while doing so, we've also tried to maintain those core services. It holds the line on municipal aid and ensures that a minimum communities receive the same dollars they saw last year, because we know that predictability and stability really matters. And as a longtime former mayor, I'm definitely always attentive to making sure we're helping cities and towns navigate through some tough times. Their health insurance costs are going up, pensions, the things that you buy. Paving a road cost a lot more than it did just 2 or 3 years ago. And we know that if we can provide dollars, we can help offset some of those increases when budgets are stretched thin. This year, that is $10.4 billion in local aid, a 4.4% increase. That's also 2.5% on UGA. Everyone up here knows what UGA is, but for those of you who aren't lucky enough to live in the municipal finance world, it's unrestricted general government aid. So that's helping you pay for police, fire, all those general services, DPW, that we rely on. Our affordability agenda, especially in housing, energy, and healthcare, is fundamentally about supporting local communities. It's also about lowering costs for cities and towns, helping advance housing and economic development projects, and supporting workforce growth. And we know in regions like Merrimack Valley, affordability, workforce, and infrastructure are deeply connected. And we've got strong partnerships outside of an operating budget in Mass Works programs and MVP programs. A lot of this is designed to think about how to make sure our communities are more resilient. We've been here when we've had flooding. We've been here certainly when there have been natural resource needs and tragedies, and these dollars are designed to help. We've also helped fund your Regional Transit Authority, who's doing great work, really trying to make connections. I want to just hats off to the RTA. I don't know if the team is here, but trying to connect people with where they need to go, any ability to have less cars on the road. And again, as we become older adults, most people are going to outlive their ability to drive. So thinking about how we can get people around to where they need to go is really critical. And I'm really pleased that as you hear from the folks on this panel, there isn't like a one-size-fits-all approach. There are solutions that come in different sizes and different shapes, depending upon the community, the character, and the needs that they have. We know costs are rising. We know there's certainly federal cuts looming. We've already lost over $3 billion in federal cuts, so I just want to put a number to that. These are in areas from healthcare to education to food costs. There's a ton of research dollars that we used to be able to rely on in this region, helping grow a strong life sciences industry and an innovation economy. Those are always in jeopardy. And so we are trying to make sure that we're attentive to what our needs are. And partnership, isn't always just about dollars. It's also about alignment, problem solving together, how we support residents, municipalities, and businesses across the Commonwealth. When it comes to affordability, as I said, housing is at the front and center. We want to make sure we're making it easier for people to build and for people to buy. We've got a program that provides a $25,000 down payment that will be expanded to help more people who are interested in buying a home. To qualify for a home, you have to have the right income, but you also have some money to put down. We're trying to make sure those numbers can balance out, and we can put down payment assistance as a major help for middle-class families trying to stay here and buy homes here. We're also tackling healthcare costs by eliminating prior authorizations and trying to put doctors and patients in the driver's seat of their care. That's also limiting deductibles and copays and working with healthcare leaders on I'd say short and long-term healthcare affordability plan. We know that costs are rising in healthcare. We also know that we are the leader when it comes to healthcare. #1 state for healthcare quality and for access. First state to have universal coverage. These are things that we're very prideful of. You don't want to ever be sick, but if you are going to be sick, you want to be sick in Massachusetts, given the healthcare institutions we have. But we need to make sure we're driving cost affordability so everybody can have access to that. With the federal government pulling out, we had 270,000 people who are on the Connector program. There may be some folks in this room who are on it. If you don't have an employer-sponsored health insurance program, or maybe you don't quite qualify for Medicare, a lot of folks are in the market on the Healthcare Connector program. We're able to put dollars in place from a trust that's in Massachusetts to make sure premiums didn't go up beyond double-digit increases. Not every state can do that. We were in a position to do that. We're hoping the federal government they've taken $1 trillion out of healthcare. You should know that is a major amount of dollars for people who rely on healthcare, not just in this Commonwealth, everywhere in this country. This will take the curse off some of those increases this year. We're really hoping the federal government will get back to the table and recognize that nobody chooses to get sick or get in a car accident. And if you don't have health insurance, you get your care at an emergency room. That is the most expensive, the least productive, not preventative at all. And that drives up everybody's cost, even those of us who have insurance. It's really critical that we have a federal partner in this area. In the meantime, we're going to do the best we can to help and address those costs. I want to say a word about energy costs, as I'm sure everybody's thermostat is running a little bit more than it normally does given the cold temperatures. We know that this is hitting both businesses and residents like a punch to the gut with these costs. Before I was mayor, I used to think of snow as just beautiful falling outside your window. And now I just think of it as dollar signs falling down to the ground. I feel the same way about cold temperatures now because we are also using a lot of power, more than we ever do, because these are unusually cold temperatures. That's going to hit everyone when they open up their bills. So you may have heard the governor's State of the Commonwealth. We announced a 25% reduction in energy costs per month. That's in February and March. Those are the two highest months usually. As well as a reduction of 10% off gas bills each of those months. We're hoping that can be a help right away for folks who are paying those high costs. There was some talk about the energy companies also passing on some carrying cost or interest. I want you to know that is not happening. They're essentially working with us to completely deduct that 25% and 10%, so you won't be seeing carrying costs later. That's just one thing that we can do in the short term. We do have legislation pending before the legislature, and I don't know if I didn't notice any legislators as I quickly hustled into the room. But I do want to say we're a partnership. There may be some here. We are a strong partner with the legislature. I feel fortunate that we have, we like to say, adult in the room energy when it comes to governing in the state, that we don't have to agree on everything, but we can sit down, talk, and move the ball forward. And there's a major energy affordability bill that will take off some of those charges, that's unintended consequences that have been on bills and put on bills many, many years ago to try and reduce costs now, as well as looking at ways that we can invest in modernizing this grid, which is not always on the backs of ratepayers. So stay tuned on that front. Look, I just want to say in closing, because I want you to hear from the local leaders who are doing the work here. I just live like a hop, skip, and a jump down Route 114, and I know how resilient this region is, and I know how important it is to Massachusetts. Whatever is happening here, what I also really appreciate about the region is people come together. Through COVID, through gas explosions, through some of those natural disasters we've seen, people have always found their way in this region to support each other, whether that's through business and networking or through connecting in the community, ensuring there's a really high quality of life. And I think that's what makes this region really special. So I'm optimistic, despite uncertainties and what might be happening in places far away from here, that Merrimack Valley in this region, this Commonwealth, will always find a way to work together, to be competitive, to understand what our needs are, and then work together to address them. So thank you for having me. Please know that you've got a partner in the corner office. We look forward to partnering with you on the work ahead in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate the remarks. State Rep Ryan Hamilton's here. Ryan, thank you. Thank you for being here, Ryan. So a few years ago, we had a wonderful mayor in Methuen, a fellow by the name of Neil Perry. I'm sure a lot of you knew and loved Neil. Neil fortunately passed away a little while ago. But he lived for Methuen, and the new Methuen mayor, who's been around for a little while, will comment more because they were best friends. He lived for Methuen to the day he passed away. That's how much he loved Methuen. When Neil passed away, DJ was the council president. He finished the term and then was elected in a special election, going back a couple of years, and now just recently elected to his first full term, the Methuen Mayor, DJ Beauregard. Come on, DJ.
Good morning, colleagues, fellow municipal officials, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, and friends. Thank you for the invitation to be here this morning. It's great to be in a room full of people who live on the getting stuff done side of government, the side where problems don't solve themselves and results actually matter. I want to spend a few minutes talking about Methuen, not just where we've been, but where we're going, and why this moment feels genuinely exciting. Let's start with housing. Housing has been one of our top priorities, and over the past year, we've made real, measurable progress. Methuen was recently designated a housing choice community by the Healey-Driscoll administration. Thank you. That designation matters because it recognizes that we're not just talking about housing. We're doing the work to produce it. Our multi-year housing production plan, developed in partnership with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, was recently approved by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, giving us a clear, state-aligned path for growth. On the ground, that planning is translating into action. Using home funds contributed by the city of Methuen, we broke ground on the next phase of the YWCA residences at Ingalls Court, an innovative project that pairs affordable housing for seniors with Element Care's program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. It's exactly the kind of creative partnership communities need more of. Affordable housing combined with comprehensive on-site services, including primary care, behavioral health support, physical therapy, and social services. Working collaboratively with our city council, we also advanced Methuen's first ever planned residential development district, creating new flexibility to encourage smart, well-designed housing. And we're laying the initial groundwork to transform 2 former school buildings into affordable housing for low-income Methuen seniors and veterans, reusing existing assets to meet real community needs. On the economic development front, we're seeing momentum build. We recently welcomed Eagle Woodworking, El Pocho Mexican Bar and Grill, Nothing Bunt Cakes, and other businesses to Methuen, adding new jobs and investment to our local economy. We're in active conversations about the future of the Marston Corners intersection near the Loop, one of the most prominent gateways in our city, and how to best position it for thoughtful, long-term revitalization. At the same time, we're continuing to move forward with the formal process to ensure the preservation and responsible reuse of the historic Searles Estate, protecting a treasured community asset while positioning it for a sustainable future. Inside City Hall, we're doubling down on our commitment to entrepreneurs by creating a one-stop shop for small businesses, a place where someone with an idea can get answers, guidance, and support without being bounced from office to office. This summer, our concert and movie series will return, bringing families together and energizing our public spaces. And with the anticipated support of the City Council, we'll be launching a new retail incubator initiative in the coming months that gives local entrepreneurs short-term, low-barrier opportunities to test ideas and grow. We're also taking steps to invest in our municipal workforce. This week, I'm proud to announce that I'm signing an executive order creating Methuen's first ever parental leave program, and this will be for city employees. No employee should have to bank sick time just to welcome a child, whether by birth or adoption. Recognizing family realities, I think, is part of being a good employer. And of course, being a good employer is part of being a strong city. We're equally focused on improving the state of our schools. We continue to invest in long overdue improvements to our school facilities, laying the groundwork for facilities that match the quality of education our students deserve. We're developing a community-based anti-bullying initiative as well, recognizing that bullying isn't just a school issue, it's a community issue. We're supporting the rollout of the new Methuen Literacy Partnership, modeled after the successful Haverhill Promise program, And I'm committed to expanding our early college program by pursuing a partnership with Northern Essex Community College, creating clearer, more affordable pathways from high school to higher education. Sustainability is a key part of our game plan. In the past year, Methuen launched a curbside textile recycling program in partnership with Planet Aid. It's a nonprofit that has kept nearly 2 billion pounds of clothing and shoes out of landfills going back to 1997. Residents can now schedule home pickups for used clothing and footwear, reducing disposal costs and environmental impact. And here's the important part. It costs the city of Methuen precisely nothing. In fact, it generates revenue. Under the agreement I signed, Planet Aid pays Methuen 9 cents per pound of collected textiles, turning sustainability into a financial benefit for our city's taxpayers. We're also hell-bent on tackling the issue of our time, and the Lieutenant Governor referenced it. It's the issue of affordability. One way we're doing that is through power supply aggregation. While there's no aggregation option for natural gas at the moment, electricity is a different story. In late 2024, we secured a locked-in electric supply rate of 12.8 cents per kilowatt hour through December 2027. This is through our Community Choice Power Supply program. That rate has consistently remained below National Grid's basic service rate, and that delivers real savings for participating residents. We've expanded our senior tax work-off program, which helps older residents afford to stay in their homes while staying active and connected by contributing their skills to city departments in exchange for property tax relief. It's a win for seniors, and it's a win for local government. Public safety remains foundational. We continue targeted efforts to eradicate human trafficking from our city. We recently implemented a new mental health wellness policy for our police officers and provided advanced cancer screening for our firefighters. We're investing in license plate reader technology and expanding our public camera program, which helps our police department solve crimes more efficiently, identify stolen vehicles, and locate missing persons, all while operating under clear policies to protect privacy and civil liberties. We're also redesigning 2 of Methuen's most dangerous intersections, and we've paved nearly 12 miles of public roadway in the last year alone. This is work that improves quality of life and public safety for our residents every day. We're particularly proud of our Police-Assisted Therapeutic Help Program, better known as PATH. It's a collaborative public safety and behavioral health initiative that pairs trained police officers with mental health professionals. When a student or when a resident experiences a mental health crisis, substance abuse challenge, or urgent behavioral health concern, PATH provides a response that goes beyond a traditional police call, connecting people to real care and support instead of defaulting to arrest, emergency room transport, or involuntary commitment. This program has helped hundreds of residents get the right support at the right time, improving outcomes and building trust in our community. Investing in public safety and mental health is essential. And when the federal government falters, it falls to local leaders to step in and protect our residents. I don't think any local government leader should pretend the past year has been easy. The chaos of national politics has real downstream effects on our communities. When Chief McNamara learned that federal funding for the PATH program was about to disappear last year thanks to DOGE, we stepped in and absorbed the cost of the program into our municipal operating budget. When the federal government took a seat, Methuen took a stand. Later in the year, during the federal government shutdown, when SNAP benefits were frozen, we organized a city-led food drive to help feed our neighbors. Again, when the federal government took a seat, Methuen took a stand, because in Methuen, we take care of our own. This year, Methuen is celebrating its 300th birthday, and I hope you'll join us. We're planning months of events, a tricentennial gala and concert, historic lectures, and family-friendly celebrations, honoring where we've been while looking ahead to the future. We're also proud of the organizations making a real difference in our city, including Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School, part of the National Cristo Rey Network. This innovative model combines rigorous academics with professional work experience, giving students opportunity and giving our region's employers early access to motivated, talented members of tomorrow's workforce. Programs like this exist in some of America's largest cities, and we're fortunate to have our own right here in Methuen. In 2026 will be a year of new community traditions. This month, we'll hold Methuen's first ever Dominican Independence Day celebration. A group of residents led by City Councilor John Drew is also working to revive the St. Patrick's Day Parade, a 125-year Merrimack Valley tradition that we'll now call Methuen home. Celebrating Methuen's history and building new traditions reminds us that our city thrives on community, and that includes welcoming new residents and ensuring everyone is treated with dignity and humanity. In October, I had the honor of welcoming about 50 of America's newest citizens during a naturalization ceremony at the Nevins Library, one of the most moving moments I've experienced as mayor. We are a nation of immigrants. We are also a nation of laws. Those two ideas are not mutually exclusive, but they demand humility, restraint, and integrity from those entrusted with enforcing the law. More recently, I intervened to support Insala Garay, a Lowell resident who was inexplicably detained by ICE in Methuen and sent to Georgia despite being in the country, A, legally, and B, while suffering from brain cancer. Thankfully, he's back home now, but his case is a reminder that behind every headline is a human being, and that enforcement decisions have real human consequences. At a moment when social media algorithms and political incentives reward outrage, local leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down, not up. That's the spirit we're trying to embody in Methuen: practical, compassionate, and grounded in the belief that local government can still be a force for good. Thank you for the work that you all do every day, and thank you for letting me share a little bit about our story.
The Lieutenant Governor has to leave, but let's give her a nice round of applause for being here. Thank you, buddy. So, in Lawrence, Mayor DePena just got reelected to his second four-year term, which is not an easy feat, but it's a reflection of, I think, the leadership and how good of a job Mayor DePena has done with his team over the last 4 years. There's so many good new initiatives going on in Lawrence. Octavian will, I'm sure, mention. They just opened up 2 brand-new elementary schools, one being the Oliver School, which was the old Lawrence High School where Robert Frost graduated in the late 1800s. History in Lawrence is unbelievable. There's businesses coming in. They're doing a great job, I think, downtown. The downtown initiatives are working. Businesses are opening up downtown like you've never seen before. So in the mayor's place, his executive assistant, Octavian Spanum, is here, and he'll give us some remarks. So, Octavian, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Octavian Spanner, and I'm the senior advisor of Mayor DePena. I would like to say good morning to all of you, and managers and mayors and managers that are present. Today, I'm accompanied by the Director of Economic Development, Mr. Frank Cirillo, also our LRA Director, Lawrence Redevelopment Board Member, Pedro Tejada, and also Ms. Andrea McCann, who is from the Department of Inspectional Services this morning. On behalf of Mayor DePena, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. At the outset, the mayor asked me to extend his sincere thanks to Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, particularly its president, Michael Bevilacqua, his predecessor and our good friend, Joe Bevilacqua, Chairman Mike Sullivan, and the entire board of directors for their leadership, partnership, and unwavering commitment to the region. Before outlining the mayor's 2026-2030 governance plan, it is important to pause and reflect on what this administration has already delivered for the people of Lawrence. Because this plan is not theoretical, it is built on real results. Over the past 4 years, Lawrence has achieved strong physical performance year after year, building $55 million in reserves without raising taxes, completing 224 city projects, and responsibly allocated $463 million in public investment. The city secured more than $140 million in state and federal support, strengthening infrastructure and core services while outperforming peer municipalities. These investments translate into visible progress across Lawrence. The city launched the Merrimack River Trail, made a historic $8 million investment in streets, sidewalks, and lighting, launched the energy efficiency program benefiting over 7,000 households, and attracted $1.1 billion in new residential and mixed-use development, laying the groundwork for long-term tax growth and economic stability. The administration's prioritized people as much as projects, supporting thousands of seniors with meals and services, investing $7 million in childcare, housing stability, and small businesses, strengthening public safety resources, modernizing emergency fleets, expanding the municipal airport, revitalizing parks, improving accessibility, and delivering cleaner streets and stronger neighborhoods. Just as importantly, city operations were modernized, cybersecurity strengthened, digital services expanded, fare-free public transit secured, and transparency reinforced. These accomplishments matter because they establish credibility. But more importantly, they reflect the collective efforts of city staff, public safety professionals, community partners, nonprofits, labor, and business community. On behalf of Mayor DePena, I would like to extend his appreciation to Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, Senator Edward Markey, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Congresswoman Lori Trahan, and the members of Lawrence State Delegation, Representative Frank Moran, Representative Estela Reyes, Francisco Paulino, and Senator Pavel Payano for their steadfast partnership and countless support on behalf of the City of Lawrence. The mayor also wishes to thank the Lawrence-based corporations, some of you are here present, small businesses, and the many businesses from the region and beyond that chose to invest in the city and to do business with the city. Thank you for believing in us, for growing with us, and for being essential partners in the city's progress. Your trust and collaboration and your belief that Lawrence's best days are ahead of us, together these first-term accomplishments have positioned the city not just to move forward, but to lead with confidence into the next phase of leadership. This morning, I would like to outline how the mayor's 2026-2030 city governance plan builds directly on this record, providing a disciplined framework to sustain physical stability, modernize infrastructure, strengthen public safety, and expand opportunity across neighborhoods. This plan is not a list of promises. It's a governing framework which aligns to our budget, our capital investments, our day-to-day operation, and our relationships with state and federal partners around clear priorities, legal compliance, and measurable results. At the core of this plan are our guiding principle. Strong governance is the foundation for strong communities. The mayor's overall objective for this phase of leadership is clear and threefold. First, to close the historic gap and accelerate a strong local economy after decades of underinvestment and neglect, ensuring that Lawrence not only recovers lost ground, but competes and thrives in today's economy. Second, to lay a durable foundation for future city leaders so that progress is not personally driven or short-lived, but institutional, sustainable, and capable of building upon for future generations to come. And third, to advocate forcefully for Lawrence's fair share of state and federal funding and resources. There is no justification for a state that leads the nation in science, technology, and innovation, a state with one of the highest GDPs and GDPs per capita, with annual research and development returns measured in the tens of billions, and the highest human development index in the country, to allow a city like Lawrence to fall behind. This administration will continue to make the case that equity is not charity. It is smart public policy, and that the success of the Commonwealth depends on the success of all its cities. So the focus for the next 4 years are: 1, fiscal stability and responsible management. First, fiscal stability. Over the next 4 years, this administration will continue to prioritize clean audits, protection of our reserves, and long-term financial stability. Second, economic development. This plan is guided by Lawrence's first economic development master plan that the Department of Economic Development is working right now, and I believe with Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. Equally important is the city growing partnership with Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, the Lawrence Partnership, and other small businesses within the city. Together, we are supporting local businesses, attracting new employers, strengthening workforce pipelines, and positioning Lawrence as a competitive regional hub. Third is public safety and emergency services. Safety remains a core responsibility of the city government. We will continue implementing multi-year strategic plans for police, fire, and emergency management, with an emphasis on staffing stability, facility modernization, and data-driven deployment. As you know, we are going to inaugurate or open our new police headquarters, which will happen sometime in April. And lastly, infrastructure. Our investments will prioritize bringing assets into a state of good repair while preparing Lawrence for future climate changes. This includes roads and sidewalks, bridges and utilities, stormwater and sewer capacity, and flooding mitigation. We will continue advancing complete streets, multimodal transportation, ADA accessibility, and sustainable municipal facility. In closing, this governance plan reflects a disciplined but ambitious vision for Lawrence, one grounded in results, guided by equity, and focused on long-term competitiveness. The mayor firmly believes that Lawrence's future is inseparable from the strengths of this region and its business community: economic growth, workforce development, Housing stability and public safety are shared responsibility and shared opportunities. This administration stands ready to work with the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, our neighboring municipalities, and our partners at every level of government to ensure Lawrence continues to move forward as a city of opportunity, innovation, and resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Octavian. On behalf of Mayor DePena, thank you and great job. We're in the wonderful town of Andover. Town Manager Flanagan has been serving this beautiful town for over 10 years, I believe. He just hit his 10-year mark, and Buzz always said, once you hit 10 years, you can run Andover with one arm tied behind your back, right, Buzz? And I think that with the help of some of these fine ladies and gentlemen. So Town Manager Andrew Flanagan.
Thank you, Mike, for the kind introduction. And yes, good morning and welcome to Andover. It's always our pleasure, except for the 1 year out of the 11 breakfasts, I think we might have been in Haverhill, which was beautiful. Usually, we really enjoy welcoming everyone to Andover. This is an important event for us. It's one we look forward to every single year when we get together with the business community, talk about what we do, not only in our geographic boundaries of our town, but what's happening in our towns and cities and how it relates to the greater region. So thank you to Michael and the entire Merrimack Valley Chamber for hosting this every year, and to our own Andover Chamber, who of course is part of Merrimack Valley, led by Paul Salafia, a longtime select board member and planning board member, and includes a number, Buzz, my predecessor, and Ann Orman, Diane. I see a bunch of people who are there from the board who really are our boots on the ground relative to engaging with the business community, along with Ann Orman from our planning team. So I'd like to recognize the members of my board here today, our chair, Alex Driscoll, and then members Melissa Danish and Kevin Coffey. Fun fact, next month, Alex Driscoll will become the longest serving select board member in Andover's history. He will break a record that was held by is held for another month by Samuel Boutwell, who came into office in 1882. So it's been in place a long time, and congratulations to Alex. It's definitely a big milestone and a reflection of his commitment to the people of Andover. I'm also joined this morning by a number of people, too many to list by name, from my team and our senior leadership team. How about a wave, Andover? All right. Thank you. I get to come up here every year and talk about all the great things that are happening, but they're the people who plan it, execute it, and deliver it on a day-to-day basis. And I'm very grateful because their commitment to Andover and their community is second to none. So looking over the past year, I spent a lot of time thinking about this idea of community, and more specifically what it takes, definitely and especially during difficult budget times, to sustain a healthy community, especially when everybody shares one thing on this stage, and it's the need to constantly navigate competing demands. In any given week, I'll speak for myself, but I know while the issues may be different, it applies to everybody. I may meet with a group of residents on the affordability of Andover and taxes. The same week, I may meet with a youth group, our families, who want a state-of-the-art rec complex, or a different group of residents who want an expansion of services. And those conversations sometimes sound like they're in conflict, but they actually reflect the reality that healthy communities require balance. And I think the toughest part of our jobs is to find a way to navigate our communities to balance. So our view in Andover has been that if you do and plan the fundamentals well, you maintain a solid long-range financial plan, which we spent the better part of last year going through as a community with our various boards and committees, and finalized basically the next version 2 of the plan, which has led us to make disciplined, intentional decisions, and it has given us the ability to create the capacity to invest in things that we have found that matter most to the residents in Andover people who work in Andover. So as I go through a few select things over the past year and looking ahead, that's the philosophy that really has guided all of us who work in town and for the town. So on our facility side, we've reached a major milestone with the opening of the new West Elementary and Shawsheen Preschool. Our two schools most in need of being addressed were our former West L and our Shawsheen Preschool, which is over a 100-year-old building in Shawsheen. It represents a generational investment in education and community infrastructure. At the same time, we've continued to expand recreational opportunities, including ongoing work at the Chandler Road Recreation Area, where we just finished Phase 1, which is more of a passive approach. It's a 44-acre site that was, had historically served as a pig farm here in town, and the town bought it in 2021, and we're moving forward a plan to bring to town meeting this spring on Phase 2, which would lead to the development of athletic facilities. So we're also preparing to make historic investments in core infrastructure in the coming year and in the coming years as part of the plan and the CIP that was released this fall. Andover will once again significantly accelerate water main replacement and sidewalk improvements, doubling our annual investments in water mains from $6 million to $12 million, and making major commitments to pedestrian connectivity by investing over $10 million in sidewalks over the next 3 to 5 years. These investments have been prioritized by the Select Board. We, on the operations side, have prepared, and in the budget that will come out later this week, we'll position ourselves to do the work and do the work well. So they're not always the highest profile projects. Depending where you live, may not be the most visible or the most visible, but they're absolutely essential to supporting housing, economic development, and the quality of life in Andover. So the same approach carries into our work around economic development. Downtown Andover continues to thrive. Thank you to Ann Orman, who is our boots on the ground downtown. We recently released a business scorecard that allows us to track progress over time in really key areas of downtown, but our occupancy rate downtown right now is 96%, which is just 1% off of a historic high. And over this past year, we welcomed over 20 new restaurants, businesses within downtown, some larger, some smaller, but really reinforcing downtown's role as a regional destination in the core of our community. At the same time, we're investing in the public realm that supports those businesses, including the Essex Street Corridor Project, which is going to be funded with the Mass Works grant. And if you know Andover, you know that intersection, that Acreage intersection with the train crossing that is dangerous and tough to navigate, and we look forward to working to bring that through a resolution. And then finally, the redevelopment of the Old Town Yard. This is my 11th breakfast. And 11 breakfasts ago, I stood up here and I said, we are a community excited about zoning that just passed that's going to allow us to redevelop the Old Town Yard. And all we had to do was find a place to move our DPW facility, build a DPW facility, go there and take the community through a bit of a visioning exercise, but we did all that. And the 3.5-acre site in the heart of downtown is moving toward a 165-unit mixed-use transit-oriented development that will include housing, retail, public open space, a community building, and improved pedestrian connections within that area into downtown. The project's been permitted by the town, and we're excited that the town-selected developer, Minco, is just about ready to move forward and should have shovel in the ground by mid-2026. So when I come back next year, we'll begin to see things that look different than what has been there for 80 years, which is now a former DPW facility, but really a project that represents our future. Beyond downtown, Andover continues to see strong private investment across multiple sectors, but one project that is important to us and the region that we're excited about is currently underway with Gillette's expansion in Lowell Junction. Construction's underway on an over 200,000 square foot facility, and when complete, Andover will be the home of Gillette's North American headquarters for grooming product manufacturing. So razor, shaving cream, everything in their product line, their North American headquarters, all will be produced and distributed out of Andover. So that was part of a multi-year decision of Procter & Gamble and Gillette, and the fact that they chose Andover and the Merrimack Valley, I think is a real vote of confidence in the region. Another smaller project that's really exciting, though, Merrimack College is expanding its campus in Andover by investing with a building that's owned by the Lapoli companies, the old Tactician building in Shawsheen. It's going to be the home of their engineering campus and their School of Engineering, which is really exciting in terms of what students will be learning and how it establishes a pipeline to what we hear often from the business community is that we need a direct pipeline to talent to support the businesses that are either growing in Andover or the region or thinking about coming here. In that same vein, housing. Housing has been a major focus for everybody. You've heard about it. You heard about it from the Lieutenant Governor. A year ago, town meeting overwhelmingly approved the new multifamily zoning, AKA the MBTA communities zoning. And the committee that worked on this, and inevitably the town approved a plan that was really sensible by creating 3 different districts with 50% of the capacity being right here on River Road. Because what we know and what we've learned from the business community is that they need places for people to live. So when you drive out today, before you get back on River Road, look to your right, you're going to see a vacant commercial office building that will soon be under consideration by the planning board. The project's been filed for a 432-unit mixed-use development that will meet a serious demand within this business corridor and be the first project submitted under the MBTA zoning bylaw here in town. So that's the highlights. On a very core municipal service level, we're releasing the budget on Friday. It's going to make investments that support and move a lot of this forward. But we're not losing sight of what it means to provide services at that fundamental level. We'll be recommending funds for the final phase of putting our third ambulance. We run our own ambulance, putting a third ambulance in service 100% of the time. Not many communities our size run 3 ambulances, but with 495 and 93, if you turn on the traffic report in the morning, you'll often see the star in Andover as where the traffic jam is because of unfortunate accidents, and that pulls resources out of town. Well, they're in town, but they're on the highway. So the demand is there, and the community's really made a commitment to that, and a bunch of other recommendations that make Andover a safer, healthier place to live. And we look forward to rolling that out on Friday. So what ties this all together is, I guess, where I started today, an intentionality, a belief that if we plan well and plan carefully, stay disciplined, and focus on that balance that's represented by those types of conversations we have, we'll be able to meet the needs in FY26, FY27, and beyond. So thank you to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce for convening all of us. And thank you to everyone, my peers up here on stage, and all of our partners, whether they work for the town or work with the town or just live in the region. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Moving up 495, Mayor Gov has not only done a great job at managing the town of Amesbury, but she also is serving as president of the Massachusetts Municipal Association, which is an association in Massachusetts that consists of every elected or appointed official throughout the state. So I don't know how you find time to do that, but you're doing a great job. So Cassandra Gove, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for still being here. I feel like this event needs its own 7th inning stretch. I know there's a lot of us, and we obviously have a lot to share. So, in some ways, it's always reassuring to hear my colleagues talk about very similar initiatives. We're all working on the same things here. So when you hear us talk about housing, that's great. We're all making a real concerted effort to add to housing supply in our communities. We're championing the miles of roads that we've paved and the infrastructure that we've upgraded, and that's all good for the region. So before I pile on to all of that, I thought I would start with something that nobody else can say. In 2025, I had the opportunity to meet and build a relationship with the mayor of Amesbury, England, Mayor Monica Devendran. We are the only two incorporated Amesburys in the world, and we have remarkable similarities. Notably, Amesbury is known to be the oldest continuously inhabited settlement in the UK, and they are home to Stonehenge. We formalized a twin city relationship and have a committee focused on connecting our students, our cultural organizations, and our citizens. It's been a tremendous way to remind people of everything that we have to offer and to put them in the seat of storyteller. And we have a wonderful story to tell. So first, I want to acknowledge that anything we have accomplished is only possible because of our community partnerships, much like you have heard from my colleagues today. We work hard and in partnership with our residents, our businesses, our nonprofits, the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, Kiwanis, our educational foundation, the Chambers of Commerce, our Cultural Council, the Houses of Worship in our community, our state partners, and our businesses. Of course, our city council and other public servants in our community as well. Together, we have made Amesbury a beacon for responsible development, including creative approaches to growing our economy while making Amesbury a place where people of all backgrounds can call home. You've seen this through our work to keep our city's largest employer in Amesbury, securing several hundred jobs at Munters, which I've talked about before. Across from Andy Mann's, a mixed-use building rises at our West End gateway, and the old Friendly's is now a Starbucks, which opens next week for all of our commuters. Downtown, the old ComSat building on Front Street is seeing a multi-story housing addition above a restored retail storefront, and the old Pontiac dealership was leveled and became homes that enhanced the neighborhood. The old Whittier Press building was replaced with homes that blend so seamlessly with the streetscape you almost don't notice them. And 3 of our underutilized church buildings downtown have been converted to modern and convenient downtown living options. Just last week, the planning board approved the historic restoration and renovation of the iconic Fuller building, turning 1 retail space into 2 and changing the upper level office space into 4 residential condos. I want to highlight 3 big projects for you. First, I mentioned last year our public boat ramp, funded by a grant from the Seacoast Economic Council with private partnerships from nearby marinas and MEVA's federally funded solar-powered ferry. We are restoring the ramp and ferry service to our ferry district. President George Washington landed here in 1789, while ferry service operated from 1669 to 1792. This incredible nod to our past with the adjacent construction to the marina at Amesbury Point, which is nearing completion, will add life to this area and unlock new economic opportunity. Second, the Rocky Hill neighborhood. Near that Starbucks that I mentioned, we have approved a collection of zoning updates to initiate generational change in this neighborhood. What was once called the Golden Triangle, we now refer to as the Rocky Hill neighborhood. It is anchored by the Rocky Hill Meeting House, where George Washington greeted townspeople. This area meets our MBTA community requirements, but more importantly, it meets the needs of our community. It is a planned neighborhood with more housing of all kinds in all sizes, transitioning a property that has been long dormant with a for sale sign that everyone in town had memorized, and turning it into housing that is so desperately needed for our future. This and the neighboring developments are being supported by almost $4 million in state MassWorks funds for off-site infrastructure and traffic mitigation. Parcels in this area that are part of the new 40R zoning area were just approved last week for nearly 150 new units of housing with the Minko Group, who you also just heard about. They're busy. Something I've talked about here before, again, mentioned them last year, and I'm thrilled that they've hit this milestone. We are tackling affordability and building desirable places for people to live. And third, the relocation of our city hall. I made this announcement last year. We've made city services available in an accessible building by putting our community first and serving our residents. I have an Amesbury News edition from 1988 in my office that talks all about, the whole edition, all about how 62 Front Street no longer works well as a city hall. And that was almost 40 years ago. Administrations before me had tried multiple times to relocate our city hall, and they couldn't get all of the pieces to line up at once. When the opportunity arose for us to move downtown, we could not pass it up. It was long overdue. We've preserved a building that holds over 100 years of history, leveled up our physical plant, and centralized city services to better serve our future. And with this relocation, we brought 35 full-time employees and all of our visitors to the heart of our community, Market Square. Many of you know that I was our chamber director in Amesbury before I ran for office, and Joe will appreciate this, Mike too. When they moved to the new city hall, I created welcome bags, a welcome to the neighborhood. And the staff joked that they could take the girl out of the chamber, but you couldn't take the chamber out of the girl. So they all got a bag full of the schedule to the yoga studio, menus to the cafe, flyers, samples from the cookie store, and business cards. And I know that they have been shopping local and found a whole new side of Amesbury. I've been saying for years that our downtown is thriving, and it's true. Our small business owners are more collaborative than ever, and the storefronts are full. We have had 2 changes recently, but the turnover is fast. Just this week, we welcomed a Thai bistro, Nunami. This is their 3rd location, and we're waiting for an opening date on Mac Daddy's, which is in Haverhill, and this is their 2nd location. The Keepsake gift shop that I mentioned last year, I called it a local version of Anthropology. They've become a permanent resident on Main Street, and a pop-up Camp 100, a boutique selling rescued clothing and decor in a curated and modern way, just announced that they're putting down roots too. So looking ahead to the coming year, we're close to closing on the Ordway School and activating that area of School Street, greeting even more residents in small downtown homes that support a walkable lifestyle. We will soon advertise the opportunity for redevelopment of our old elementary school on Southampton Road, where we've approved 4 of the 14 acres for surplus, so that site can be developed in a positive way that contributes to our bottom line and complements the neighborhood. And we've worked to set aside the remaining 10 acres for trails, playgrounds, and recreational opportunities that will benefit neighbors for all ages and abilities. These projects provide short-term, one-time revenue from their sale and put property back on the tax rolls, adding to our annual revenue. We have other properties to address as well, including Cynthia Lane, Trader Allen's, and with the state support of a state earmark, we are starting on phase 2 of a parking study to forecast our needs and initiate some movement on the next steps of our Water Street parking garage. All in all, we have over 1,200 new homes being added to our housing inventory in Amesbury in the next 3 years. Next, we're turning our focus and our attention to growing our economy by maximizing commercial space on the outskirts of town and our industrial parks. Because now we can say that you can move your business here and your employees can move here too. We are focused on making it easy to do business in our town, and we will have such a variety of housing options that I can't wait to see you, your business, and your family in Amesbury. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well done. Now, you're adjoining town. Once again, a sign of leadership. Sean Reardon was just reelected mayor once again. He's doing a great job running the town of Newburyport. Mr. Mayor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for those still with us here today. First, I want to say thank you to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce for the invitation and for bringing us together. Happy Super Bowl week, everybody. Yes, I've got the Pats 27-24, if you're keeping track at home. Also, happy Groundhog Day, everybody. So you're going to see in Pennsylvania, they have Punxsutawney Phil. We have Haverhill Joe, and Joe did see his shadow this morning. So we've got 6 more weeks of winter. Thank you, Joe. Before diving in, I just want to say how nice it is to be here with my colleagues and fellow leaders from across the Merrimack Valley. One of the real strengths of this region is the collaborative spirit among our cities and towns. While each of us faces unique challenges, we learn from one another, share ideas, and understand that our success is deeply interconnected. These gatherings are a reminder that we are not competing communities, but partners working towards a stronger regional economy. Economic development in the Merrimack Valley has always been a team sport. What happens in one community impacts the region as a whole, and Newburyport is proud to be an active partner in that shared effort. Like many of my colleagues here today, I want to start with housing because it's the single most consistent issue I hear from residents, employers, and business owners. If we want a strong workforce, vibrant downtowns, and sustainable local economies, we must continue to create housing options at all price points. In Newburyport, we are taking a multi-pronged approach. We are in the process of transforming the former Brown Elementary School into 29 units of deeply affordable senior housing, preserving an existing public building while directly addressing housing insecurity in our community. At the same time, we're working collaboratively on a friendly 40B redevelopment of a long vacant Kmart site, which would deliver 212 units of housing with 25% set aside as affordable. These are not easy conversations, but they are necessary ones, and they reflect our understanding that housing is no longer just a social issue, it is core economic infrastructure. Another critical piece of our economic development, and one that doesn't always get the spotlight, is water infrastructure. We are beginning the design of a new water treatment plant that will address PFAS contamination and, just as importantly, expand system capacity. This investment was essential not only for public health, but for our economic future. By increasing capacity, we are creating the conditions necessary to support additional housing and business growth over the next decade, ensuring that Newburyport can grow responsibly while meeting modern environmental standards. Another major piece of our economic development work is our waterfront, which has long been one of Newburyport's greatest assets. We are thrilled to receive and secure $1.5 million from the Seaport Economic Council for our boardwalk rehabilitation project. This investment allows us to modernize critical infrastructure, improve public access, and strengthen climate resilience, all while supporting tourism, small business, and year-round economic activity. The boardwalk is not just a recreational amenity, it is an economic engine for our downtown and for our region. Building on that momentum, we are also advancing planning, working on a private parcel known as Waterfront West, a transformative area of our city, and we expect to see a plan come forward later this year. The vision includes a seaport-oriented hotel with event space and function space, mixed-use development with retail and housing, and significant public amenities, including a new public plaza and an extended boardwalk. This is the type of smart, balanced development that strengthens the tax base, creates jobs, and enhances quality of life, while keeping public access and community benefit front and center. Another example of exciting regional collaboration is our partnership with MEVA. Together, we are advancing plans for a solar-powered ferry on the Merrimack River, connecting Haverhill, Amesbury, and Newburyport. This innovative project will expand transportation options, support tourism and economic activity, and demonstrate how sustainability and economic development can go hand in hand. I also want to recognize the importance of local chambers and business partnerships. We just wrapped up another incredibly successful holiday season in Newburyport, and the Port of Wonder, put on by our local chamber, drove foot traffic, supported small businesses, and reinforced our town as a regional destination. Many have said it was the best they had ever seen Newburyport look during the holidays. At the end of the day, economic development is about more than individual projects. It's about creating places where businesses can grow, families can live, and our communities can thrive. In Newburyport, we are committed to doing that work thoughtfully, sustainably, and in partnership with our neighbors. I'll close with this. Newburyport is open for business, and when we work collaboratively, city by city, and town by town across the region, we all prosper together. Thank you, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Go Caps!
Thank you, Mayor Ian. Well, did we save the best for last or what, huh? Melissa, come on up here. She's been the town manager for North Andover since 2019 and just got her contract renewed. So there's another great sign of great leadership and a great town. So, Melissa, come on. Thank you.
Good morning, thank you. The whole time I was up here, I was trying to think of a way that I could someday be first. So I think if I do Andover North,
Yeah.
I might be second.
right.
I'm trying. Not working.
You'll go first next year.
Next, you all heard him, so I'll be first next year. It's all good. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today, surrounded by my colleagues and our business partners. I'd like to recognize my assistant town managers, Andrew Shapiro and Laurie Burzlaff, who are both here as well. I'm proud to share what we've accomplished working together as a community, and I'm so thankful to our friends Joe and Mike at the Chamber for bringing us together again, and for continuing to be a constant source of encouragement and support. Last time I saw them, they were at Senator Tarr's holiday gift drive. They just kind of pop up everywhere, and we're lucky to have them as such strong partners. I've seen firsthand the passion they have for all of our communities, as well as for the business community and for the combined success of the Merrimack Valley. It seems like whenever something good is happening, their fingers are in it, and so I appreciate that. Over the last year, North Andover has continued to prioritize our long and medium-range plans, which are driven by a combination of stakeholder feedback, resident feedback, expert consultants, and our amazing staff. We're working with the design firm right now for the construction design documents for a comprehensive streetscape improvements along Main Street in downtown North Andover. We're focused on safety and aesthetics that we hope will encourage private investment. These improvements will likely include a combination of wider sidewalks, bump outs, raised crosswalks, additional landscaping and pocket parks, and the potential for undergrounding of our overhead utilities. The phase of this project is entirely grant funded using MassWorks and our Columbia Gas funding. We also recently kicked off a process to update our hazard mitigation plan. We are no strangers to hazards the last few years, and so it's been critical for us to continue that. We've had the gas disaster, flooding, and drought since our brush fires, and without these plans in place, we're unable to properly respond. In 2025 alone, we completed our digital equity plan, our historical preservation master plan, a flood study, and an update to our open space and rec plans. We also took an initial look at the feasibility of hosting an MBTA community rail station, conceptually located at Osgood Landing. And while we're still really just thinking about that and envisioning for that, it really could bring so much potential to the town. And we look forward to continuing with the MBTA on that initiative. We've also had kind of some interesting things that we've done this year. We worked with MVRTA on a plan where our middle schoolers are taking the bus to our youth center, which sounds simple, but middle schoolers learning to take the bus was actually harder than we thought. And so we thank them for that partnership. We also rolled out an artificial chatbot on our website. Interestingly enough, it can answer so many questions. When's the next meeting? It will not tell you how old I am. I tried that. So we're good there. But it really does have some amazing capabilities, and we're looking forward to continuing to embrace artificial intelligence to make ourselves more strategic and more precise in what we do. We've also had a lot of recently completed development projects, as well as some that are just getting started. So in December of 2024, the planning board approved a 21,145 square foot building that's being used for a child care center on Osgood Street. It would involve the demolition of Hokkaido, which had been on site for a very long time, and that work is continuing. In August, we welcomed a new and improved Market Basket. I don't know if you've been there, but it has a self-serve ice cream machine, which for me was the highlight. But it's 40% larger than the original Market Basket. And the vacated former Market Basket space is being renovated now to accommodate retail tenants. Somebody said Home Goods. I don't know if that's true, but I'm looking over there. Is it Home Goods? Maybe? Okay. And approximately 17,600 square feet of specialty retail shops. The planning board also approved a project in Lawrence at the municipal airport hangar that allowed for the construction of 4 prefabricated hangars, including 2 hangars and 2 maintenance hangars. And if you haven't heard yet about the amazing project that Greater Lawrence Tech is doing with the airport, they currently have a new program that is going to teach students how to do repairs on airplanes and helicopters. So they brought a hangar in there. They have another kind of hangar in their school. They brought a helicopter. It's a pretty amazing program. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. I'm particularly excited about it. And finally, the town ZBA is currently considering a 40B comprehensive permit project. It's along High Street at the Mills. If you haven't been there, amazing restaurants, places to shop. That project calls for 296 units of multifamily residential units and would actually get us over our 10% if that goes through, which is something that we've been trying for so long to do. Couple of quick things for our public facilities. I know you all hung out with me all this time, so I appreciate it. The planning board authorized site improvements, including demolition of our old boat launch. And so we've got a new boat launch going in. It's going to have a hand carry boat launch, block retaining wall, permeable pavers, a bunch of bioretention areas. It's a really cool project. We are just finishing some renovations on our high school fields, thanks to our assistant town manager Burzlaff for bringing that forward. It looks awesome, and for the first time ever, our softball team has a place to play, which if you're a softball mom like I am, you know is a really big deal, so we're excited about that. At May town meeting, we're voting on the construction of a new Kittredge Elementary School that would be funded at about 50% by the state, and we're also considering a new fire station on 114 and Berry Street, which would greatly improve our response times. And then finally, on the topic of Merrimack College, at a time when so many small colleges around the country are shutting their doors, Merrimack College just continues to build. This is the first year that Merrimack College made a payment to the town, a donation, and we really appreciated the strong partnership that we have formed with them. Last month, they opened a new two-story, 19,205 square foot building that features 5 lecture halls in town. And they're also currently constructing 2 new dormitory buildings at the corner of Route 114 and Elm Street, which is going to provide 540 new beds on campus. And as some people may have heard, Merrimack recently partnered with Lupoli and Atlantic Management on the purchase of the Royal Crest property. So I think every year I've talked about Royal Crest and what we hope to see there. This is new. We don't really have a lot of information, but we're really looking forward to working with them on that project and making sure that the town's priorities and the strategic vision is all in line. I will say this is a great time to start a business in North Andover. If you're looking for a place, we have places. We love working with you, and we're here to help. Thank you for having me here today.
Just want to close up the program. I just want to say thank you again to everyone for being here. As I mentioned earlier, this program and this series brings business and government together. I want to thank all of our mayors, all of our town managers, our lieutenant governor for being here. That's exactly what this program did today, and I just want to say thank you again for being here and for all your great remarks. So thank you. I also want to thank our chairman, Mike Sullivan, former Mayor Lawrence, again for his great moderating today, so thank you again for that as well. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, and thank you all for being here. Hope you have a great day, and again, keep your eyes out for our congressional breakfast and our state senate breakfast dates, which will be announced shortly. Thank you.